Welcome back, everyone. Open Line. We are talking with Emily Benedict, Metro Councilwoman for District 7. That is Inglewood and South Madison. We're talking about, does Nashville need private prisons, and your bill that would do away with them here in Davidson County. We have a few callers here, so let's go to the phones. Let's go to Darlene. Hello, Darlene.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, go right ahead.
Hi. My question would be, would it be more better to do reform? It would cost less than continue to build more prisons for inmates, which costs a lot. And then because then you have to hire people, train them to watch over facilities. By reforming, you will help them be more productive in society, giving them some hope and where they probably never seen that or haven't been taught or shown. Also, we know that private facilities, they're not taking good care of our loved ones that are locked up. And health care, they're not doing a lot of things that isn't right. And therefore, that's costing money and then hurting the families as well. Mm-hmm. So I was just wondering about reforming and switching them over to a state facility would be better.
Okay. What do you think about what she's saying there?
Sure. So a couple of things. One, I wanted to clarify, this is a state facility. It just has oversight. These are state inmates. Sheriffs only jail prisoners who have inmates who have been sentenced up to 1 year. If you're sentenced for a crime over 1 year, you automatically go to a state facility. So this is these are state prisoners, but the sheriffs and other sheriffs around the state are asked to have oversight and house these prisoners within with their oversight. So
there's shorter prison terms.
That's right.
And the thought is you do want them close to home so their family can visit them. But these are not murderers.
That's right.
But these are people who are convicted, right?
That's right.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about here.
Yep. And so we're not looking at changing facilities. I think they should step for the adults, right? So we haven't really touched on the juvenile detention center very much, but for the adults and for the Metro Detention Facility that is being run by Core Civic today, my plan includes keeping them in that facility and potentially hiring the guards and the staff that is running that facility today, but instead of training them and getting them on board with Metro policies rather than the for-profit prison policies. Mm-hmm. Which includes hopefully better health care. Sorry.
And she's talking about prison reform.
That's right.
Is that kind of what brought you to this? Is this a form of prison reform?
Absolutely.
And why? Why is that?
I think, again, the temperature in this country for corporations making money off of prisoners, it goes back really to the 13th Amendment. We've continued to lock people up to perform, so that people can make money off of them. That to me is a basic function of government that we should not allow corporations to make profits off, especially when we're talking about, $11 million a year. And that's just for the top 5 executives.
All right, let's go to Keenan. Hello, Keenan.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I spent a great number of years working for a for-profit prison, and I honestly think that they need to be done away with all the way across the board, because there are a lot of things that they handle and do that general public doesn't know, because they actually go into the legislatures, into the county boards, and they actually, push laws, stricter laws that benefit them by having people locked up and sent to their facilities. So it does need to go back to the state, because, like I said, the oversight at those facilities is terrible, because they generally run low staffing levels, because that helps them generate their profit. They remove the education in those facilities for the rehabilitation, which also adds to their profit. They also loan the inmates out to other entities, even though they're supervising and they're technically state they're remanded to the state, but that company is actually, leasing them out to make profit off them too again. And I'm glad that the lady mentioned too about it comes back to the 13th Amendment, which is basically slavery all over again. It's just that now they just label you a felon.
Okay. All right. So you support this?
Oh yeah, all the way across the board, because they do this in many states. And like the gentleman said earlier, I've literally seen them where they had inmates in one state move them to another state.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's Keenan. Okay. Thank you. What do you think of what he's saying there?
Yeah, I think that just hits on it. The today we've seen atrocity after atrocity, and we've seen, these corporations making so much money on the backs of people who are really need to be rehabilitated. Oftentimes they've committed crimes due to mental illness, and we need to focus on correcting that so that they can get out and be like John, our first caller. And he's out for 20 years. He's making contributions to our society. He's paying taxes. He's it sounds to me like, I don't know his whole story, but it sounds to me like that's exactly what we want to do, is lift people up instead of keeping people in.
We've seen a lot that Nashville will pass something in the council, and then the state legislature will come in and say, no, you can't do that. Or the state legislature will pass down a mandate saying, okay, you're going to do this. There's not a lot of love right now between the state legislature and the Metro Council and Davidson County. So let's say Metro passes this. The Metro Council passes this, says we're going to do away with private prisons. Could the state come in and say, no, you're not?
The state can do whatever they'd like to do. I think I would take issue with that for two reasons. One, the comptroller released a report a couple of Fridays ago of the Tennessee Department of Corrections, and I think Davidson County can take over this facility, and like I said, I trust our sheriff to do a phenomenal job, and I think that the Tennessee Department of Corrections would see improvements to what's going on in this facility if it was done by Metro employees rather than by this for-profit prison. That to me is the most important part.
Have you heard from the state that they are uncomfortable with this?
I have not. I have spoken with some members, in particular Davidson County delegation at the state. But I want to go back to that. If the cost really is $15 million a year, I don't think it is. If it really is $15 million a year, the state's saving that money. At a minimum, we know that the reimbursement rate the state is paying CoreCivic is $58 per day per prisoner, as compared to a reimbursement rate of $37 per day. The state would save $21 per day per prisoner, and we have roughly 1,000 inmates in that jail. That's a savings that I don't know how the state could turn that down.
So a financial argument often will carry the day, but the bottom line is CoreCivic, which it used to be, they're very powerful organizations, and politically powerful. Is there any sense that again, they're fighting this up at the state level, or even here at Metro? What are you hearing as far as that goes?
I think that I've met with their lobbyist. I have not spent much time with him. In fact, we have not really had a deep conversation about this at all. So I think that needs to happen. Perhaps, actually, I always want to be open to hearing the other side. I do think that we see with these private prisons, whether it's CoreCivic or the GEO Group, which are the two largest in the country, CoreCivic being the largest, they're moving their focus to immigration. And again, real estate investment, right? So this seems to not be where they are focusing their time and energy and money. Most of their new business today is coming through immigration. And then the second thing is, I think they want to own property, but where does that leave their employees? Where does that leave our inmates?
Let's go to Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Are you there, Lynn? Lynn? I believe you're on line 1. Maybe you're on line 2. Hello, Lynn?
In the prisons, I know that some of the inmates are required to work or go to school, and in that they obtain a wage. Their base wage is 17 cents an hour. And in all the reformation, I feel like that should be addressed, because that's just a ridiculous amount to pay somebody for the hard work that they do while they're incarcerated. And how can you provide for yourself if you don't have people helping you?
So we might have missed the first part of your call, but you're saying what? That what they are paid for the work they do inside or while they're in jail is very low. Is that what you're saying?
It is, and it puts a hardship on their families and themselves. Then they have to be dependent upon the state to provide for them, and in these privatized prisons, that's just not possible.
Okay, all right. Would it be any different? Is that something that you're addressing in your bill?
I took a note down, and Lynn, I appreciate you calling that out, because that is something I need to find out about. I don't know if that would change or not.
Okay, let's try Paul. Hello, Paul? Paul, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Go right ahead.
My first question is, if we were to remove Corrections Corporation of America, is that who now maintains the prison system?
Core Civic, yeah, it used to be CCA, but yes, essentially that's it.
Well, but the same people that are with the new company migrated from the old one. Is that about right?
They changed their company name, is all they did.
They just changed the name to protect the innocent. Well, okay, I think we should remove the for-profit prison system, because I think the executive level managers are keeping all the money for themselves and not putting it back into the hands of and giving raises to the proper people who can actually improve the prison system. But that hasn't been established, because no one's ever tried that. No one's ever tried giving the money to lower level managers who could use a brain, who probably have brains and college degrees, and they could put their noggins together and actually come up with some better solutions for things. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I say remove privatization, of the prison system, and let Metro and state employees maintain it.
Okay, all right. So there's a lot of support for that.
Yeah.
I want to encourage people to keep calling in. Right now we've only heard from one side, but keep calling in with your thoughts, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. But what do you think about that last call?
I think, Paul, thank you. You hit the nail on the head. One thing that he brought up that I think is critical today, we need more transparency. And if voters in Davidson County said nothing else last summer, they said we want more transparency and accountability in our local government. By bringing this in-house, there's, a for-profit organization can hide much more than a government can. And so, when I think about leading with integrity, the way that you can show your integrity is by being transparent and having accountability. This makes us more transparent and provides more accountability to the inmates, to the employees, and to the taxpayers.
The other thing that came through loud and clear, which I'll ask again, is that they're concerned about money. Voters are concerned about money. So there is the moral side, and voters are certainly concerned about that. But the money side, we're a city that is facing financial concerns left and right. You're saying the money side works. Is that right? Or if that was the main thing people were concerned about, is the money, that I'm worried about Metro employees getting a raise, and teachers and that kind of thing. That would be priority 1 and 2 for some of the voters. How does this fit in?
Those are huge priorities for me too. I was out there, red for ed. I was out there with our teachers, and it's critical that we make sure that our public works employees and our E911 and our police, we're short-staffed in many ways, including in our public school system. Those are critical to me. That's also why I've built in this timeline. I've made it a bit longer so it gives us the opportunity to fund it by June 30th of 2022.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you want to call in, again, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.